Take me into your loving arms. Kiss me under the light of 1,000 stars. Place your head on my beating heart. I'm thinking out loud. Maybe we found love right where we are.
I told Toru to promise me he wouldn't try to harm himself while I was at school. I don't know if he'll listen, but I really hope so. I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I returned home to find him. I sighed at the thought, especially now that I have plans for us. I want to take him out to see a movie, I want to go sightseeing with him, I want to take him to the zoo to see the penguins. I can already imagine his expression. The way he lit up seeing the animals during our trip was a sign of how passionate and loving he truly is. It's something I needed in my life. I need him. I drove Kaido to school, and on the way there he kept boasting how right he was about Toru, with good reason of course, so I let it slide. I know I'm a douche, and I'm doing my best to make it up to everyone. I told Kaido just as we pulled into the parking lot of the school. I saw a few of my friends in the hall chatting with each other. The moment they saw me they merged to my side like magnets. Yo Iwaizumi. Hey, wait up. Suzuki called out, catching up with us. We continued walking down the hall while they were chatting. I was obviously ignoring them. That's when I saw her. Elaine. She flicked her head in our direction when she heard the noisy group approaching. She'd just finished getting her stuff out of her locker before she joined our side. I figured I'd just play along for now, but I did have the intention of confronting her about it later. Hey, did you hear? Might have asked, but I had no idea what she was talking about. Hear what? There's a rumor going around that something exciting is happening at the cafeteria today. Where did you hear that? Was it some gossip from one of those dumb social medias you and your friends are always on? No, I heard it from a passing conversation in the hall. She replied nonchalantly, staring at her nails. Now, normally I wouldn't have paid any attention to that, but after a couple of classes the guy me and Toru met during the school trip approached me in the hall mentioning this. Shokai, I think his name was. Hey, make sure you head to the cafeteria during lunch break. That was all he said before walking off out of sight. It was really odd and suspicious, but I did what he said. I headed to the cafeteria like I normally do, with all of my friends tagging along like usual. They'd already forgotten about the rumor, but I and what seemed like several other people hadn't, as the cafeteria was pretty much packed. We sat there a few minutes eating lunch, and just when I started to think maybe this whole rumor thing was fake, Shokai rolled in a large screen TV hooked up to a rolling chalkboard with several wires coming from it. The loud sound of the wheels grinding against the floor captured the attention of every soul in the room. People were looking between each other almost as stumped as I was. Shokai fiddled with a few things before the large screen turned on. A video popped on screen. It looked like security camera footage. It started with the camera fixed on a locker. 3 suspicious men walked over and started tampering with it. They tried getting it open but couldn't. One guy started ramming against it with the others joining in soon after. It eventually bent enough that it popped open. They cheered in victory before taking piles of paper and books from the locker. I still had no clue what was going on. The video continued to play and the scene eventually changed. This time I was much more familiar with the setting and the people on screen, Elaine and Toru. They stood next to my locker whispering quietly between each other. Elaine walked to the edge of the hall glancing back at Toru more than once. When his attention was completely off her as he put in my locker code, she took the moment to sneak away. She hid behind a wall, out of Toru's sight, and started recording him with her phone, but she was still in view of the camera. I removed my eyes from the video to study Elaine. Her calm, curious look shifted. She looked like she was panicking. I could smell the discomfort radiating from her. She got a couple glances from some of our other friends as well, but they didn't really know what was going on. I looked back to the video and saw Toru placing a note in my locker. He looked over his shoulder to realize Elaine was nowhere in sight, so he frantically finished up what he was doing and ran off. About a minute passed of still footage before Elaine started moving again. She ran over to my locker, entered the combination and swung it open. She dug through her bag and pulled out some kind of contraption. I had no clue what it was. She removed Toru's note, shoved some of my books to the side and placed the note enclosed in a plastic bag. I remembered what it said, but I still can't believe she wrote something like that. Was she really that set on her goal? She repeatedly glanced over her shoulder making sure no one saw her. The rest of the video showed her setting the trap and running away. When people figured out what she was doing, there were a few quiet gasps and some not so quiet bantering. Just when I thought it was over, another scene popped on. By this point Elaine had already stood up from her seat preparing to make a break for it. This video showed Elaine and Toru talking outside the boys' locker room. Toru went in, but there wasn't any footage of him inside the boys' locker room. He eventually came out carrying my football uniform. Obviously I was curious what he was doing with it, but the video sped up showing him returning with the uniform looking clean and folded. I felt something light and soft fluttering in my stomach. Toru really did care about me. The poor innocent kid was put through so much, it made the gut-wrenching guilt resurface. After Toru left the room, Elaine snuck in and did her thing. The camera didn't capture anything, but I already knew what she was up to. It made me furious. I would have beat her up on the spot if she wasn't a girl. One final video played, showing Elaine sneaking into the coach's office after picking the lock. Like the boys' locker room, there was no visual of the coach's office. Again, she snuck out looking suspicious. In this video it was night, which proved she was up to no good. After the video ended, all heads turned to Elaine, who stood nervously at the edge of the room. She tried to speak a couple times, but nothing came out. During a personal investigation I saw that Elaine here was up to no good. I set up cameras around the school to catch whoever's been breaking into my locker and stealing my work. In the footage of one of the videos I saw something unusual. Me, like many, have seen Elaine and Oikawa's close friendship. They'd always be peppy and cheerful. I would have turned a blind eye on this situation, but when I started seeing Elaine sneaking around I knew something was up, so going along with my intuition I continued observing her. And my suspicions were correct. She is indeed the one that's been going around the school causing trouble, ruining people's lockers, destroying their belongings, spreading rumors. He revealed, sending a wave of bickering and murmurs through the students. That's not true. Elaine yelled out, grabbing her hips. Oh, don't try that, sweet cheeks, I have it all on video. Shokai said smugly, raising a brow. Elaine was seething with rage and embarrassment. Our friends looked dumbfounded by what was going on. They all stopped eating. Okada and Suzuki's jaws were ajar while the others were just as shocked. Some of the people started swearing at her, calling her names, the most prominent being bitch. She ran off not wanting to hear any more, but for her that was just the beginning. School ended. Elaine was nowhere on school grounds, so I assumed she went home. The school was in so much chaos after what happened at lunch. All of our friends looked lost, soulless, as if they were hit over their heads with a brick. Seeing this was all too familiar. It was the same for me after all, only, I took it much worse. Having someone you trust so integrated in your life only to find out they've been lying to you for who knows how long can be an extreme shocker, especially if you put your trust in them over someone else, someone like Toru. Stepping outside, seeing the green and feeling the warm breeze against my skin reminded me that summer break was right around the corner. Knowing that I can spend more time with Toru made me happy. I would be able to mend the pain I've caused him, or some of it at least. Before I headed home there was one thing I had left to do. Kaido, do you mind taking the bus back home? I asked on our way to the parking lot. Why, you finally getting tired of having me around? No, it's not that, I have to go tell Toru's boss he may not be able to come in for a while. Kaido nodded in understanding before getting in the car. We going? He asked looking through the window. Wait, I just said. I started, but my sentence fell short as Kaido watched me blandly through the glass. I want to see where Oikawa works. I just sighed and got in the car. All right, just don't complain to me when you get bored. The place was calm when we arrived, with very few cars around. Kaido and I got out of the car and headed for the entrance. The doorbell went off as we entered. I'd forgotten it was there. It's been a while since I've last been to Toru's workplace. Welcome. Toru's boss, of whom I forgot the name of, came over, greeting us. Oh, I remember yet. She exclaimed, raising a finger. You're Oikawa's friend, Irencha. She asked after a moment of pondering. Yet. We're friends, aren't we? I'd like to think so. Is he here with ya? It's almost time for him to come in. She asked, studying a piece of paper on her clipboard. About that. I came here to tell you that he may need some time off. Worry crossed her face as I finished my sentence. Why? Is there a problem? Is he okay? she questioned, lowering her clipboard. He's fine, just, a lot's happened. Everything seemed okay when he came in yesterday. What happened? Sandra asked in a concerned tone. I recalled her name after reading the name tag pinned on the apron. I don't know if that's for me to tell. You might have to ask him yourself the next time he comes in, assuming you'll keep his position here. I said, trying to respect Toru's privacy. I don't know if he wants to keep anything under wraps or not, but as I said, it's not my place to tell. I see. Disappointment and sorrow rang in her voice. Before you to go, let me treat you to something, anything you'd like. I was about to decline, hoping I could return home to see Toru sooner, but Kaido quickly accepted, taking a seat. As we were waiting for our meals, the doorbell went off, drawing everyone's attention. In walked a short black-haired girl wearing a flat expression. She almost reminded me of my older sister. I think I've seen her around school before. She tries to stay away from any attention so she doesn't stick out like a lot of people. From what I remember though, she was one of the students who used to get in a lot of trouble around school. Oh hello Suna, Oikawa won't be coming in today, so I have to ask ya for extra help around the shop. With bonus pay of course. The tenseness rung over in this girl subsided quite noticeably. Why, what's up with him? The girl, Suna asked. I don't really know. Though this man right here is one of his friends and he says Oikawa may not be coming in for a while. Sandra said, gesturing to me. Hey, you're one of those dicks from our school, aren't you? She stated nonchalantly. Normally that probably would have lit a fuse, but I can see it's true, I am a total dick. So, can you tell me why Toru won't be coming in? Suna asked, strutting up to me. Did you and your friends finally break the poor guy? She asked, meaning for it to be humorous. When she saw the look that crossed my face, her expression darkened like she was ready to break my soul. I could be quite intimidating, but this girl was on a whole other level. It's complicated. I'd talk about it, but I want to respect Toru's privacy, so that isn't for me to share. I explained once again. I'm guessing it was that bitch Elaine who pushed him. That tramp seriously has it coming. She's been pissing me and several others off for far too long. She said before turning around and walking into the back. Just then Sandra returned with 2 slices of pie. It looked appetizing to say the least, but somehow it tasted better than it appeared. Kaido also really seemed to be enjoying it. It made me happy seeing him like that, knowing that we were on okay grounds again, and this was all thanks to Toru honestly. Thanks for the meal, Sandra. I said as we exited the diner. We should come here more often. We can always snag a free meal. Kaido joked, sending Sandra into laughter. I just rolled my eyes. Come back whenever ya went. I don't mind giving free meals away to you. Sandra said sweetly. I'd feel bad if I didn't pay her though. If you keep up that business model, you'll be out of business in no time. I stated the obvious, tossing out a wave. It was her turn to roll her eyes. Upon arriving in the driveway of our house, Kaido practically leaped from the car before I finished pulling in. He rushed towards the front door, racing the drenching rain. After shutting off the engine and grabbing my keys, I followed behind.